All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon and thank you for tuning in. My name is Linda Barry. I'm the Acting Director of the Small Firms Association and I'm delighted that you could join us this afternoon for our SFA webinar on what SFA membership can offer your business. So over the course of the next 20 minutes or so, I'll just give you an overview of different areas that the SFA is active in. Some may be more relevant to your business and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. Before we get going, I just want to make the point that this webinar will be recorded, and that means that the recording will be made available on the SFA website, so you'll be able to play it back if there's any details that you feel like you want to recap on. If you have any questions over the course of the webinar, you can type them into the control panel at any time during the webinar, and we'll come to them at the end, and I'm happy to answer any questions, general or specific, that you may have. So the first thing I'm going to start with is an overview of small business in Ireland, because that's really who we are representing and who our membership are made up of. Then I'm going to tell you a bit about the SFA, our priorities that we voice to government on your behalf. Then I'm going to just talk to you a bit about our Business Advice Centre, focusing on the HR, employment law and general business sides of that. I'm going to hone in on one specific area in terms of contracts of employment and give you a bit of a flavour of the advice that you could get in that specific area. Then we're going to go through some upcoming SFA events, and finally an area that's of huge interest to a lot of our members, how you can market your business to the SFA community of 8,500 companies. So just to start, here on this slide you'll see a bit of information about the small business community in Ireland. So small businesses are those who employ less than 50 employees. Within that there's also the category of micro businesses, less than 10 employees. And we think the distinction is important. We deal with small firms. SMEs is a slightly different term. That's everything up to companies that employ 250 employees. So we are not an SME organisation, we're a small firm body, so companies less than 50 employees. Incredibly, those companies make up 98% of all businesses in Ireland and employ almost half the private sector workforce. You can see there on the slide that the small firms actually account for more than half of employment in 21 counties. So the regional impact of the small business community is just huge. In addition, these companies account for 1/3 of the total value of the Irish economy. So it's not wrong to say that really small firms are the backbone of the Irish economy, and you know, following years of lobbying by SFA and our activity in the media, we really feel like there's finally some recognition of the importance of this sector of the economy and of the important work that you are doing in your businesses and by creating jobs in those businesses. So specifically moving on to the SFA is a membership body representing small business. We are not part of government or not connected with government, although we do communicate with government quite a lot. We are a membership organisation with 8,500 member companies. Our vision for Ireland is of Ireland as the most vibrant small business community in the world, supporting entrepreneurship, valuing small business and rewarding risk takers. So at the very highest level, that's what we're working towards every day. In terms of our mission, we are the trusted partner of small business in Ireland. We deliver business-focused advice and insights to our member companies. We work to influence government policy to the benefit of small businesses, and we connect our members together in a thriving community. SFA is part of the broader IBEC organisation. So this slide here that you see just kind of gives you an idea of the scope and the variety of members that are involved in the two bodies. So SFA, as I said, has 8,500 members, and IBEC has an additional 7,500. And some of the sectors are mentioned there in terms of professional services, hospitality, energy, food, medtech, technology. in SFA, we accept companies from every single sector and every region of the economy. So there's a huge variety and vibrancy within the membership community. The IBEC connection, just to mention, there's a couple of benefits really that accrue due to our connection with IBEC, and that's really IBEC's scale and the depth of expertise that exists within IBEC. So our members benefit indirectly from the fact that we have access to an economics team, a team of solicitors, and deep sectoral insights through our IBEC colleagues. And it also opens up the possibility of connecting the small firms that are members of SFA with the larger companies and the variety of companies in IBEC in terms of doing business together. So there's lots of opportunities to be pursued there. We are known as the voice of small business in Ireland, and that is both the voice to government and also the voice in the media, making sure that you have representation and that your contribution and that your concerns are being heard across the country. So some of the things that we are working on and that we are voicing on your behalf, the number one concern of our members at the moment and in terms of our policy actions is in terms of Brexit. I'll make a few specific comments on that later, but just to run through some of the other areas. Tax is a huge area, and we've been working for decades really in terms of our lobbying in the area of taxation. Most recently, we've seen some very positive progress in terms of the tax treatment of entrepreneurs and the self-employed. There now exists a tax credit of similar model to the PAYE tax credit, but for self-employed people, and we're really lobbying very hard for in the budget this year that tax credit to be brought up to the same level as the credit for PAYE workers, because we don't see why entrepreneurs should be discriminated against in the tax system, which is effectively what's happening in the current situation. Cost of doing business is also a huge concern for members. That covers everything from insurance, which is a huge issue in particular at the moment, but also the cost of borrowing, so interest rates and the fact that interest rates in Ireland are higher than the average across the EU. Also things like commercial rates, and a big issue as well is labour costs and the regulatory burden on small businesses. So we're working in a lot of different areas to reduce red tape and regulatory burden. And in that regard, we sit on many working groups with government. We are seen as a trusted, legitimate partner that we can voice small business concerns and assess the impact of government decisions on small business, and they often sense check different ideas with us before going forward. A couple of the other issues that you see there is about broadband and infrastructure. There's been huge underinvestment in this country in the last 10 years for obvious reasons during the crisis, but now we really need to see that investment ramping up, in terms of transport, broadband, energy, childcare. All of these things really contribute to the environment in which small businesses are operating. And then public procurement is another issue that's of concern to many members. So we work directly with government on public procurement, first at policy level in terms of making sure that the rules don't discriminate against small companies winning public contracts, but then also making the case on specific issues for companies that feel like they've been unfairly treated in the process. So if there's any other issues that you're wondering about our activities on, or any other bottlenecks that you have found in your business, please type it into the question section and I can go into a bit more detail about any of the issues that you're specifically concerned with. We conduct regular surveys of our members, and this gives us great insights and very current insights into what's happening in small businesses. We don't have to wait 2 years for CSO data to come out, or we don't have to wait around for some of the other measures that are coming out of government that really there's a huge lag in the data. So we have up-to-date sentiment figures from our members, and the most recent survey shows the opportunities that our members have identified for the coming year. Chief among them is domestic economic growth. The vast majority of small businesses are trading in the domestic economy. What matters to them is economic growth, a positive outlook, consumer sentiment. So that's seen as the biggest opportunity over the coming year. Many others are looking at a new brand or a marketing campaign, and they see any growth in their business over the next year coming from that channel. New products are always on the agenda for members, as well as specific sectoral opportunities that could be in relation to tourism or sports initiatives, or it could be in relation to specific technological developments in a particular sector. Exporting is a hugely promising growth channel for a lot of our members. It can be challenging. We're here to help through some of those challenges. In particular, in the context of Brexit, we're now having to look beyond the UK to other markets and see how we can make it easier for small companies to export there. Some companies are involved in acquisitions. Trading online is another one, and really we're keen to see more and more businesses trading online. Incredibly, 1/5 of small companies still have absolutely no online presence in terms of a company website, social media pages, anything like that. We really feel that there's a missed opportunity there. You know, the businesses are really lagging behind consumers here. Consumers are buying more and more online, but unfortunately about 70% of that revenue is going abroad. They're buying off foreign websites. And then the other opportunity identified by our members in large numbers was government or EU funding or contracts. And as I mentioned, that can be a challenging area, but if you develop expertise in tendering for some of these contracts, it can be very lucrative. On the other side, there are always many risks for small businesses. Chief among them at the moment, our members have identified wage inflation. And that is coming from partly from the sense of positivity in the economy, but also from what we're seeing in the public sector in terms of transport strikes and the recent public sector pay agreement. And the expectations in the private sector are being fueled by those public sector debates, even though we know from looking at the economic data that inflation really is zero. There's no cost of living justification for wage increases. Yes, there are specific issues, specific challenges in areas such as rent and childcare costs, but we have strongly made the case to government that those issues need to be tackled on an individual basis, and that there's no justification for wage increases across the board because certain sectors of the population are facing those increased costs. Moving on, domestic economic stagnation is kind of a fear of some of our members. We see there Brexit and the associated sterling exchange rate movements. There was huge volatility over the past year and a half, really, as the Brexit referendum was looming, and then as the result became known, and companies, you know, who are trading with the UK saw a 20% drop in competitiveness over a very short period. That wipes out margins for those businesses, makes it very hard to continue. We're back at a more manageable level now, but there's still a lot of uncertainty about how things are going to develop. Legislative and regulatory burden is always a risk for our companies, and they've identified certain ways in which that is increasing at the moment, linked partly with the next point about the instability of the minority government. We don't have strong political government at the moment steering the country in a particular direction. There's a lot of voices in the Dáil that are able to have their say. There's a lot of private members' bills that are seeing the light of day where they wouldn't previously, and that's causing uncertainty and a bit of negativity amongst our members. Business costs is kind of a bit of a catch-all, but as I say, insurance is really the big one at the moment. Then cash flow, we had survey results last week that showed positive sentiment in terms of our members. 72% intend to invest in their business over the next 12 months, but cash flow is always a challenge, and that's linked with late payments and many other issues in the Irish economy. And debt, the last one there on the list, is still hanging over many companies. So just to be very clear now and show you the services that you could get as SFA members, the number one area that people are joining us for is the whole area of business and HR advice. So we have huge expertise within the SFA here, and members can access that expertise through, firstly, the information portal on our website, and you can see a screenshot of that there, the different categories of information that's available. Within those categories, there's guidance, there's sample documents, and there's articles, there's recordings of previous webinars. It's a really rich resource, but the most valuable resource for members is the fact that they can pick up the phone and call myself or one of my colleagues here and get really tailored advice on their specific issue. And the way we often work is that we'll give you kind of an overview of the advice, but then we'll really take you through it step by step. If you have an issue with a disciplinary issue, for example, with an employee, we'll outline the first steps that you should have, the first conversation that you should have with the employee, and we'll say, you know, go off and have that meeting and then call us back, update us on how it went, and then we'll talk you through the next step. So it's really tailored. It's given to you in a very manageable and actionable form. Our primary publication in this area is our employment law guidelines. This is kind of your Bible in terms of your HR and employment law obligations and how to be compliant and therefore reduce the risk on your business through claims from employees. So the employment law guidelines, as it says there, are jargon-free. It gives you samples, it gives you how-to guides, and really there's chapters there on everything from kind of the beginning of the employment relationship in terms of recruitment, interviews, initial contracts, right through to any issues that might arise during employment in terms of different types of leave, in terms of discipline, in terms of performance management, and then right through to the possible end of the employment relationship, whether through dismissal, redundancy, retirement, or any other end to that. So it's a hugely useful publication. All of our members received a printed version in the post last Christmas, and it's also available as a single document or broken down into its constituent parts through the website, available to all members. Just to mention, if you do become a member, how we get a lot of this information out to you. So we're hugely active on social media and we push out information through social media, but we also support initiatives that member companies are carrying out, and we will retweet your initiatives to our 7,000 Twitter followers. We also have a Facebook page, we're on LinkedIn, so we're very present across social media. The screenshot here is an example of our weekly e-zines. That's the Tuesday edition, goes out to you at around 5 o'clock every Tuesday evening with the latest in case law, different government supports that you might be able to draw down, the latest media coverage of small business issues, upcoming events, market insights and intel and research reports from ourselves and other organizations. So it's a really good recap once a week. If you're to read one thing, there's a lot in there, and it's a fairly quick read. We do monthly webinars for members. This similar to the format of the webinar today, but also on specific topics: retirement, contracts, building value in your business, data analytics, things like this. And then the quarterly magazine, which we'll see a screenshot of later on, hugely successful a magazine that we launched last year, and there's plenty of opportunities for your business to be profiled there. I have a few slides here just in terms of contracts of employment. I'm not going to go through them in detail, but it just gives you a flavour of, on that particular issue, the type of advice you could get. We'll be telling you that within 2 months of an employee starting, these are the type of, this is the information that they need to have been provided. We can go through with you the different types of contracts, whether a permanent contract is the most suitable in your situation, or whether you might want to look at a fixed term contract, specified purpose contract, and all of the implications of those decisions in terms of whether you are subject to unfair dismissals legislation, etc., etc. So we can give you general information, but we can also have it personalized in terms of the needs of your business and any specific contractual issues, as in will you need confidentiality clauses, things like that. And again, just if you want to have a look at these slides later on, there's just a bit of a run through there of the differences between 0 hours and if and when contracts, which are quite topical at the moment. SFA events are hugely kind of valued by members. It's a chance to come together, it's a chance to learn and to share experiences, but also to build your network and to do business with other members. The flagship events throughout the year, and you'll see some images there from them, are the SFA annual lunch, which takes place in November. It's a really celebratory event with over 500 people in attendance and an opportunity to book a table for your colleagues or clients. The SFA annual conference, which is in May each year, and it's a half day with a wide array of speakers from business and sports and inspirational speakers. The SFA National Small Business Awards you may well have heard of, and I'd encourage all of our members and all successful small businesses out there to enter. It's a fantastic 6-month program, and the finalist companies, which are number about 35 to 40 companies each year, each get a prize that's valued at €50,000, and that's in terms of the training that you benefit from, the media exposure, as well as the attendance at the different events, and ultimately the gala ceremony where the winners are announced. The other events there, they range from large to small in terms of business bites, monthly seminars, our speed networking events, which are specifically geared at networking, our webinars, and our training program under the Unlock Your Potential banner. So there's always something to go along to, whether you're in Dublin or we also go outside of Dublin for a couple of events each year. So there's always a chance to come together with other small businesses. We are in a quieter period for events at the moment, just with it being the summer and different people being away, or you're probably busy covering for different people in your business who are on holidays. So we will be having a webinar on government supports that you can access in your business on the 26th of July. And apart from that, we'll be starting up in earnest again in September with a lot of our regular events. So our Business Bites monthly seminars that I mentioned, our training courses. The next one coming up is on project management on the 15th of September. The employment law conferences, they are one-day conferences. They're going to take place in Dublin and Limerick at the end of September, beginning of October. And then we all have the date in our diary for the SFA annual lunch on the 10th of November in the Mansion House. That's always a great day out. The vast majority of our events are free for members, and for those events that there is a ticket price, there's always a very good deal for members versus non-members. And finally, really, just to say, a lot of members use their membership to try and raise the profile of their business and to try and market their business to the membership community and beyond. One really good tool for this that I mentioned earlier is the Better Business magazine. You can see the front cover of the last edition there on your screen. Plenty of opportunities for your business to be featured there, whether it's a news item about your new website that was launched or a new product offering, or whether it's getting your expertise on a feature that we're doing about staff retention or about your sector, about succession planning or performance management, for example. Lots of opportunities there. We're happy for you to suggest things that you think other small businesses would like to read about also. The networking events in particular, those speed networking that I mentioned, really good chance to get lots of business cards and to put your card in the hands of lots of other interested parties. And you have to make sure that you have your elevator pitch down for those ones because we move quickly. The third bullet there just mentions a member spotlight, which is a really nice element of our Business Bites event. We give, at the beginning of each event, we give 3 businesses 90 seconds to pitch to the audience, which could be 80 to 100 people. You get 90 seconds to tell us who you are and what you're about, and then you could leave some literature around the room for people to follow up with you. You can also advertise for free on the SFA website, which has 3 million hits per year, and you can use our lovely Member Of badge, which you see there in the middle of the screen. You can use that on your website, your headed paper, on your vans, or wherever you want to use it, just to let people know that you are a member of the SFA, and that brings a certain recognition from other members and from the broader community. So essentially that's a whistle-stop tour. I'm really interested to answer your questions and maybe hone in on some of the areas that are most of interest to you. So if you just bear with me for one moment, I'm just going to have a look at the questions that have come in, and we'll pick 1 or 2 then to run through. So just on the contracts issue that I mentioned, someone here is saying my existing contracts are out of date. Can the SFA help with updating these? Absolutely, yes, that is a core service that we could provide to members. Essentially, you could send us in what you have, and we could work with that. Or if you feel like it's more a case of starting from scratch, you can take our sample contract, you fill in the blanks, and then we'll review it with you and make sure that there's nothing missing from your point of view. Another question here is just in relation to sole traders and whether they can join the SFA. Yes, we're open to sole traders. Possibly the employment law advice that I mentioned is less useful for that category, but really I think, you know, for sole traders, it's mostly about the broader business advice and then about the network, you know, if you want to get out there and meet as many people as you can. So we certainly welcome sole traders. So I think we're getting close to the time that we said we'd finish up. So I'll leave it at that in terms of the questions, but I would say please feel free to contact us after the webinar with any follow-up questions you have. We're happy to talk through those with you, either to me directly or to my colleague Louise Kenrick, who deals specifically with membership issues. So just before we go, thank you for joining us here today, and to show our thanks, we have this fantastic membership offer for you. So if you've been impressed by what you've heard today and you do want to sign up, if you do so by the 29th of June, we have a special 6-month offer for you, and including a free profile of your company in the September edition of our Better Business magazine. So the 6-month offer, that means the subscription fee is an annual fee in general. So this is just a 6-month offer, and it's based on, there's different bands based on how many employees you have. So it would start from 288 plus VAT up to 415 plus VAT. And that would get you essentially from now until the end of 2017. So the link is there if you'd like to click on it. It's a very quick sign-up process, and if you have any issues with it, as I said, contact myself or Louise, whose contact details are there. I've included some useful links here to the specific sections of the SFA website that correspond with what I've been talking about today. So please feel free to browse those at your leisure once the slides go up on the SFA website. And just a thought to end, You know, our mantra is that being in business for yourself doesn't mean being in business by yourself. We want to be there to help you and support you, and to be your backup in the case of anything that arises in your business. So there's our contact information. I again would like to say thank you. I'd also ask you to please complete the feedback survey that has just been sent out to you. You'll see it there in your control panel, I think. It's very quick, but the feedback is very useful for us, and it'll help us tailor these webinars in the future. So I look forward to hearing from you, and I hope to be able to welcome you as a new SFA member soon.